Welcome to MSL Stories. Friends, if you don't mind, please subscribe to my channel. I have a dream of 1,000 subscribers. Thank you. Let's start the story. I was in a department update meeting at my software development company when my phone buzzed. I'm 41, a father of two, and a senior back-end engineer on a big project. I rarely looked at my phone during a conference call with executives, but Dakota's name lit up the screen. Dakota, my half-sister, is 7 years younger and rarely texts me during business hours unless something unusual happens. I quickly looked down and saw one line. She's not in Glendale, she's on a huge cruise with him. Lots of questions arose. The week before, my wife Bianca flew out to visit her sister across the state to escape our marital tension. I initially believed her tale. She sounded exhausted. Everything about our marriage felt distant for months. She said this visit would help her decide whether to continue or break up. I never considered her traveling with her ex-boyfriend Grant. When I read Dakota's message, my heart raced. It seemed like every project timeline, line of code, and meeting reminder vanished instantly. I forced myself to finish that meeting. Most people expect me to be calm and logical, especially given my professional reputation. I tried to organize database migrations, new integrations, and performance metrics. My mind kept picturing my wife on an ocean liner, laughing or sipping a colorful drink with Grant. I hid behind a vending machine in a corridor after the meeting and called Dakota immediately. Second ring, she picked up. "I'm so sorry," she whispered. "Friend Lydia works on cruise ships. She saw Bianca supporting Grant. I didn't know until Lydia said. She was uncomfortable but told me because it was wrong to keep quiet." Pressing my back against the vending machine. "You're sure it's her?" My voice shook more than I wanted. "Lydia sent me a couple of pictures," Dakota said. "Definitely Bianca." An uneasy feeling nearly made me drop the phone. "Thank you for informing me. This alters everything." Dakota paused, worried. "You okay?" "Not really, but I'll manage." I hung up, confused. I was married 14 years to Bianca. I was 27 and she was 25 when we met at a charity fundraiser marketing event. Local fundraisers and business conferences were her event planning specialty. Once, our marriage was steady. Our modest house is in Glendale, a quiet suburb with friendly neighbors and well-kept lawns. Our kids, Logan, 10, and Sierra, 7, love her. They love me. Every friend remarked on how well we looked together. However, I sensed our perfect facade cracking for months. Looking back, I can spot warning signs. Bianca spent hours texting in the living room instead of watching movies with me and the kids. How she sneaked away late at night to take care of errands and returned with vague explanations. She ignored my confrontation as stress. She expressed doubt about our relationship 2 months ago. A few weeks later, she requested a break. A marriage break seemed odd. How? She wanted privacy to decide if she still loved me. She planned a short getaway with her sister Felicia in a city 2 hours away. Meanwhile, she insisted I watch the kids alone. I rarely pried, thinking space would help us. I realized my naivety. I ran home after work, skipping the usual evening chat with coworkers. The kind 50-year-old manager Terry asked if everything was okay. I left after mumbling about a personal emergency. I gripped the steering wheel as my mind raced through every scenario. Red lights insulted me personally. My chest held rage, confusion, and betrayal. My father-in-law was in the living room when I arrived. Eric, 63, a retired police officer, picks up Logan and Sierra from school often. The kids finished homework in the dining room. Eric looked worried at my face. "Everything okay, Nolan?" he asked. "Some people call me Noel, but I prefer Nolan." I spoke softly. "Eric, we may need to talk later. I must check on the kids now." Eric nods. He sensed trouble but didn't push. He's stoic and rarely pries, which was a relief. I focused on Logan and Sierra coloring in the dining room. They glanced up, smiled big, and went back to work, blissfully unaware of the chaos around us. I asked about their day, school, and Eric's visit. Nothing seemed wrong, and I didn't want to burden them. Kids shouldn't worry about adult drama. Eric returned home after dinner. In her 40s, Carla, a neighbor and old friend, watched the kids for an hour. She went across the street to Carla's house. I called Felicia, Bianca's sister, from my car. The confused woman quickly clarified that Bianca wasn't with her. Felicia had no idea where Bianca was. I wondered if Bianca lied to her sister. I thanked Felicia and hung up. Quinn, my college friend and attorney, was my next call. Quinn, my age, is a smart lawyer with family case experience. Fast talking, I explained what was happening. Quinn advised me to gather as much evidence as possible, including finances and social media posts, for divorce. After Carla left and the kids went to bed, I sorted phone bills, bank statements, and credit card transactions in the living room. I discovered a large withdrawal from our joint account a few days ago. I also saw charges for an unfamiliar travel agency. My rage burned. Every credit card Bianca might use had to be canceled. I didn't want to fund a secret love cruise with her ex because the marriage was a sham. I took personal leave from my employer the next day. Luckily, I had plenty of PTO. While the kids were at school, I drove downtown to meet Quinn at his law firm. He's a detail-oriented friend with black-rimmed glasses on his nose and perfectly parted hair. He led me to his corner office and closed the door after greeting me in the lobby. I recounted the events from Bianca's request for a break to her discovery on Grant's luxury boat. Quinn asked clarifications while typing laptop notes. He exhaled after I finished. "We need solid proof if this escalates in court," he said. "Family support, custody, and property division can be affected by infidelity. Log every text and call. Cancel the credit cards we discussed. To prevent her from draining your funds, freeze or transfer half to your account." I asked him about the morality of it. "Do I go too far?" Shaking his head. "Your financial stability." She lied. Quinn's clients sometimes use Julian, a private investigator, so I left his office with his card. That afternoon, I booked a meeting at a small coffee shop near the courthouse. Julian, in his early 50s, had gray hair and a worldly demeanor. He told me about following cheating spouses around the city and taking photos and videos. He explained how to learn more about Bianca and Grant. I gave him a retainer, grateful for his guidance despite my despair. Meanwhile, I had to deal with 2 kids who kept asking when Mom would come home. I vaguely said she was traveling and we'd see her soon. Nights were hardest. An empty bed, memories swirling. I lay awake imagining the worst, my chest aching. Bianca texted 3 days later. The message said, "I need more time. Promise to see the kids soon. Do not worry about my finances. I'll figure something out." The audacity shocked me. After using our joint account to buy a cruise, she pretended she didn't need me? Things changed inside me then. My sorrow and disbelief became a harsh determination. My intention was to end this marriage and expose Bianca's actions. The world had to see her true self, especially her friends who always saw me as the boring spouse who didn't appreciate her spontaneity. The real story was coming. I contacted my close friend Amelia, a local paper journalist. Nearly 39, energetic Amelia has written extensively about community events. We met downtown at a cafe. I explained my situation plainly and asked, "Would you be able to accurately report a Bianca and Grant scandal?" Amelia hesitated. "I cannot publish personal information. A broader perspective, such as public interest or legal disputes, is needed. It may be different in high-stakes situations." Anyway, I thanked her and left, thinking about how to publicize the fiasco. Though I was focused on protecting my family, a whisper persisted. Bianca's betrayal deserves widespread attention. She shamed me, lied, and manipulated our finances. She said her ex, Grant, was rich in commercial real estate. The thread might lead to something bigger, I thought. Crawled time. I sent the kids to school every morning to look good. Julian, the private investigator, emailed me date-stamped and location-tagged photos of Bianca and Grant on the cruise. She relaxed, leaning against a railing with her hand on Grant's shoulder. She was clearly visible from these distances. Quinn helped me write divorce papers. He said we did not file them immediately because we needed to be strategic to give me the advantage in custody or support disputes. A new issue arose when my father-in-law, Eric, began asking direct questions. The kids sometimes overhear my private phone conversations. While washing dishes after dinner, Eric looked me in the eye and asked, "Bianca's not with Felicia, is she?" A plate was gripped tighter. "No, she's not." "Is she with Grant?" he asked. I wasn't sure how much to say, but Eric's face said it all. Was suspicious for a while. "Nolan, I might know what's going on. I'm sorry. I thought marrying you would make her stop that nonsense." Hearing that hurt but validated me strangely. Eric knew Bianca's old flame with Grant was nothing new. Perhaps they'd been in touch longer than I thought. He bowed. "I'm not defending her. She harms the family." He left soon after, leaving me to bed the kids. I pondered Eric's words for hours. He seemed disappointed in his daughter. My sympathies. It was hard for him to see his child ruin her marriage. I discovered a new link a few days later when my colleague shared office gossip. Grant's real estate firm might have developed controversial Glendale land. Local authorities scrutinized that development due to questionable rezoning requests. People suspected bribes and backroom deals. Perhaps I could expose Grant if he was involved. Once that story broke, Bianca may be revealed, so I needed proof to link Bianca to it. I probed further. I informed Terry, our project manager, that I would work fewer hours for personal reasons. He didn't probe, just rearranged my tasks. I prioritized my kids, but I searched real estate and planning commission records whenever I could. No need to do it alone. My journalist friend Amelia helped. She was careful with her sources, but found evidence that Grant's firm, Hanover Baines Investments, was lobbying City Hall. I found an email chain on Bianca's old laptop. She left it at home. She helped Grant plan company events, according to it. That proved she was involved in his professional life. If she helped him wine and dine local officials, that might be noteworthy. A few weeks passed during this investigation. Bianca hadn't returned home or entered Glendale as far as I knew. I occasionally received texts about her space needs. She said she didn't want to talk to the kids because it would be too confusing for them, which fueled me. She was their mother, but she preferred partying on a ship or traveling with Grant to facing her children. I had all the divorce paperwork ready. I gave her the documents when she returned. Our kids' world kept turning despite the tension. Logan had a science fair I attended. Sierra danced in a small recital. I was clapping and filming the whole thing, sending Eric and Felicia short clips. I wanted them to know I prioritized kid normalcy. On a sunny afternoon, Bianca returned my call, a turning point. She had left over a month earlier. I replied, half expecting a new lie. Instead, her voice was almost casual, like nothing was wrong. "I'm still out of town," she said, "but I need hotel funds. Can you help me with our shared account? Cards are broken." "Canceled them already." I inhaled. "Because I canceled everything. If you had communicated, you would have known." I couldn't tell if she was angry or exasperated by her phone call. "It's my money, too." I kept calm. "You left without explanation, lied about visiting Felicia, and used our money to vacation with Grant. I won't fund that." Her voice shook. "It's not as it seems. I needed a break." It was nearly comical. "You must manage your finances. Please note that the kids are fine." She muttered goodbye and hung up. I lingered over the screen. That call confirmed my need for closure more than anything else. This marriage ended. She wasn't sorry, just annoyed that the money was gone. Quinn and I filed divorce papers in county court shortly after. The legal system started working. Serving Bianca was my idea. She was found in a luxury hotel near her cruise port. She looked stunned and furious, the server wrote. She refused to sign immediately. I ignored her accusatory text that evening. "You're rushing this. We can fix it. I need more time. And don't do this to the kids." I was beyond saving the relationship. I kept gathering evidence of her relationship with Grant for the divorce during this legal battle. Julian's photos, bank statements, and emails offered ample proof. Amelia informed me that the city was investigating Grant's firm. Some council members were upset about bribes. Amelia suggested more revelations, linking Bianca-planned social events to city officials and Grant's company meetings. This meant Bianca could be subpoenaed or interviewed. Some might consider that public humiliation. I thought it was fair for someone who left our marriage and used deception to fund a fling. I struggled to serve my children's interests throughout. Logan and Sierra were old enough to notice tension, but not realize it. I told them their mom was working on a project and might be gone for a while. I didn't want to poison their relationship with her, but I thought they'd figure it out as they got older. Eric occasionally helped with after-school pickup and weekend lunches. He rarely mentioned Bianca. I sensed his conflict between paternal loyalty and morality. 2 months after the cruise, Bianca tried something new. She unexpectedly visited the house. This happened on Saturday afternoon. Sierra ran out of the house wide-eyed while I helped Logan with his basketball shots in the backyard. Bianca was standing in the living room with her arms crossed when I entered. She looked thinner with dark eye circles. She wore a designer jacket, I remembered, which looked odd in our suburban home. We told the kids to wait on the porch while we talked. Bianca charged ahead. "I won't sign divorce papers until we discuss what happened." Though we were standing, I motioned for her to sit. "I see nothing to discuss. You stole, lied, and left with Grant." Her tone was measured. "We never slept together until after we split. I needed emotional support from an old friend." Simmering blood. "Don't insult my intelligence. You know why you went on his cruise. Taking a break from a marriage isn't separation. You tried to escape without consequences." Her position changed. "You're always controlling. You never freed me." I almost laughed, recalling every time I'd offered to help with her business ventures or handled most of the parenting so she could pursue new projects. Controlling? That's your defense? I gave you space when requested. Her face flashed anger. Just hear my side. I felt neglected. Raised hand. Stop. Arguing all day won't change what happened. Filed for divorce. This is the only way forward. She fell onto the couch, covering her face with her hands. I expected tears or remorse, but she remained silent before looking up. We can try counseling. No, all done. You're involved with that man, and I have evidence you made suspicious deals with him. I hope you're ready for legal trouble. She glared. Are you extorting me? Shaking my head. Blackmail implies I want. I'm not interested in your money or secrets. I just want a formal end. And I'll answer city investigators' questions honestly, not blackmail. She stood up, marched to the front door, and muttered, You'll regret this. She left without greeting Logan and Sierra. Grant's firm was suspected a few days later. Multiple city officials claimed Hanover Bain's investments bribed them. The article mentioned an outside event planner. Bianca was never named, but a detective could guess. The entire scandal dominated local news. I let Amelia work without communicating with her, but she kept me informed. The city's legal apparatus was activated as the investigation and scandal grew. Texts from Bianca changed from anger to panic. Please help me, she wrote. They subpoena me. It's not as bad as it looks. Another time, she called me at midnight, pleading for my help to prove she only organized parties and did not commit crimes. I remained silent. From my perspective, she was paying the price. Grant reportedly became a lawyer. I heard rumors that he was blaming middlemen, possibly Bianca, if it suited him. Ignoring the political scandal, the kids wanted to know when they would see their mother. Eric helped arrange a visit. Bianca took them out for 2 hours one weekend. Providing she not introduce them to Grant, I agreed. She consented. The kids returned calmly, saying, Mom seemed worried. I assured them she was managing her issues. They inquired about our divorce. That question broke me, but I replied honestly, Yes, we are. Our love for you won't change. I had to avoid turning them against her. I explained that adults sometimes divorce but keep both parents involved. Telling the truth without adding adult details is difficult. I gained allies during this time. Quinn quickly bolstered my divorce case. Julian kept updating me, even though we had enough proof of the affair. Dakota and Felicia comforted me. Eric was polite, but distant. Flexible deadlines from my co-worker Terry helped me with depositions and court filings. Grant reached out, causing the confrontation I half expected. Unknown caller started it. I answered to a smooth voice. He said, Nolan, let's be civil about this. I don't want your family drama to affect my business. Man-to-man conversation is possible. I avoided meeting him out of concern he would manipulate or intimidate me. We had some heated words instead. He said Bianca was overreacting. The city's investigation would fail, and I'd regret making a spectacle of her. I told her I was divorcing her, that the city had reasons to investigate, and that if he was innocent, he was fine. I was furious and oddly satisfied that he called me. He was desperate. Bianca was asked to testify about Grant's shady gatherings by city investigators before the divorce hearing. She looked terrified, knowing that planning lavish dinners for city officials could get her in trouble. Eric, her father, tried to mediate, urging me to talk to her for the kids. I told him, I'll communicate about co-parenting, but not anything else. Bianca tried to settle last. She suggested we divorce quietly without mudslinging if I made financial concessions. She wanted a large share of our home's equity and higher spousal support. She would keep some financial details private in exchange. I carefully considered her proposal and declined. I thought she wanted a comfortable life in case Grant let her go. I wouldn't fund her potential indulgence. I don't handle betrayal that way. When we appeared in court, Quinn and I sat at one table and Bianca and her lawyer at another. We showed that her affair and diverting joint funds to herself caused our breakup. My goal was to get primary custody of the kids and give her a fair share of our assets. Her lawyer tried to claim that Bianca had separated from me before the affair, so it wasn't infidelity. However, the timeline and photos showed otherwise. Bianca approached me in the hallway during recess. She asked, "Can't we settle? The kids don't need a big fight." After recalling the heartbreak and sleepless nights, I told her, "Our children deserve a responsible mother, not someone who runs off on a cruise with an ex and demands a financial bailout. We'll let the court rule." Shoulders slumped, she left. I saw only self-preservation, not remorse. Initial court decisions favored me. Bianca had visitation, but I had primary custody. Although we were still negotiating, We agreed to sell the marital home and split the proceeds. The judge disapproved of Bianca's refusal to provide her address or stable employment. Grant's city case escalated, forcing Bianca to testify. She kept contacting me, saying my refusal to help was unfair. However, I couldn't shake a question. How far would I go for revenge? Already her divorce was underway, her finances were in disarray, and her relationship with Grant threatened her reputation. Did I need another dramatic revenge? Or was her life unraveling enough? A solution appeared unexpectedly. Grant's real estate competitor Bryce emailed me. Bryce contacted Amelia after reading her articles to reach me. Amelia sent me his message. Bryce claimed Grant forged environmental compliance documents to defraud him of several commercial property deals. He asked about my insider knowledge. He suggested that Bianca's participation could be used against Grant in a larger civil suit. Bryce would pay for proof. I saw an opportunity to finish Grant off and show Bianca the cost of betrayal. Considered options. If I continued, I'd embarrass Bianca more. She lied to me, cooperated with Grant, and organized his gatherings. My sympathy faded long ago. I shared pertinent information. I turned over my documentation, including Bianca's laptop emails about property irregularities, without lying. I stopped there. Bryce's lawyers took care of the rest. That lawsuit was announced a month later. Local media devoured every detail. Shocked, Amelia called. This could end Grant's career. People are calling for a complete freeze on his projects. Bianca was implied to have organized certain gatherings. Though not the main target, the negative publicity stuck to her. She was publicly shamed, and her friends discovered her involvement in these questionable dealings. Her event planning contacts ceased. She lost her job and social status. Legal threats forced Grant to distance himself from her. She was portrayed as an outside contractor who had no role in his company. In less than a year, Bianca lost her marriage, reputation, relationship with Grant, and local respect. Imagine a perfect storm of consequences. I didn't dance happily. Knowing she couldn't hide her betrayal or act innocently made me happy to see justice served methodically. Finally, we signed our divorce decree with little ceremony. She signed in a small law office. I signed soon after. Dissolution occurred. I was free from that marriage for the first time in 14 years. I restored home normalcy in the weeks that followed. Logan, Sierra, and I rented a Glendale apartment. We wanted new routines and memories. Bianca began visiting irregularly. She got a small job at a catering company but had no money to fight custody. Our children asked questions, and I answered honestly and kindly to show them that both parents cared for them, even though we lived apart. Bianca sometimes guilted me about her struggles. "I'm living in a cramped apartment, barely making ends meet," she texted. She never realized she caused that situation. I didn't mock or comfort her. Co-parenting was my only duty with her as an adult. After months, I found my resilience. My projects got more complicated. My teammates noticed my effort. I made friends. Dakota introduced me to Leslie, a kind, funny, and empathetic early 30s paralegal. We met for coffee. To talk to someone unrelated to my past was refreshing. My caution was respected by Leslie. We got closer even though she wasn't seeking anything serious. Meanwhile, Grant faced more lawsuits. Bryce's lawsuit grew, city officials charged him, and his real estate empire collapsed. Rumors circulated that he might flee the state to avoid investigations. I never knew his fate or cared. Bianca sent me a sad message. Grant has cut all contact. I put my phone away. Quinn said that was likely the last drama. Divorce completed. City investigations now focused on larger fish than Bianca. She would likely disappear or move for new opportunities. The finality was strong. I needed the kids to know I was stable, grounded, and concerned about their happiness. There was no mother bashing in front of them. I left their relationship decisions to them. They still loved her, and I didn't want to break that. They came to expect consistency from me. Who put them to bed, helped with science projects, and attended recitals was known. They asked Bianca fewer questions over time. I took my revenge on the bad people slowly and thoroughly. No recklessness or harm occurred. I stopped funding, cooperated with the city's investigation, and Bryce's lawsuit. Grant and Bianca was publicly judged. My marriage ended, and I started over. While some call it cold, I see it as the clearest path. She started these events when she chose deception over family. 1 year has passed. My new home is on the other side of Glendale. Sierra turned 8, Logan turned 11. Domino is our adopted stray cat. The three of us eat, do homework, and joke most nights. I bike with them on weekends on local trails. Eric, Dakota, and my parents, who live several hours away, help me navigate single parenthood. The kids occasionally text or call Bianca, but she's become distant. Sometimes people ask if I regret my actions or miss my life. My real answer is that I miss Bianca's facade. She once seemed caring, ambitious, and loving to me. That person vanished when she boarded the cruise ship. She was betrayed and paid dearly. I don't regret defending myself. I've become a person who won't tolerate dishonesty and understands boundaries. I appreciate my second chance to live authentically. My revenge wasn't cinematic, but it was total for my wrongdoers. I see my story coming full circle from the day I discovered Bianca's deception to this new chapter where I stand tall, free from chaos and deception. My kids and I confidently forge our own path. Thank you, friends.